Okay, so today I am doing an A game versus C game analysis. This is a practice that I learned from the book, The Mental Game of Poker. I will be talking about the mental game of poker a lot because this is the book that I use to guide my approach to poker and guide my approach to just being successful. It's really good on managing tilt, understanding the game at a deeper level, not removing emotion, but controlling emotion and understanding the value of having emotion and tilt, as well as learning and the learning process. So, one thing it recommends is you do an A game versus a C game analysis, which is you go through the process or your thought process during your A game, what goes into a decision, how you think about poker while playing your A game, and then doing that with your C game and see what's different. And the goal is to make you play your A game more often and figure out you can work on to get to your A game thought process. So I'm going to talk about my A game first, and we're going to go through my personal thought process. And I've developed this over the last 2 years I've been playing poker. But um, my A game all starts with pre-flop hands. The pre-flop is the fundamental basis to GTO poker. You have to know what hands you play and don't play, and you have to be able to understand this chart, this 13 by 13 grid. Um, and you see all the hands that are highlighted are hands that are possibly in the person's range. And then this would be the other person's range, but we'll get to this in a second. So in my mind's eye, I have the opponent on a range. And all this action pre-flop narrows the range. In a two-bet pot, the range may look like this in a low jack versus button. So say I am in low jack and I raise. This is my range. This is the opponent's range. So I have this in my mind's eye. And the flop comes. And I have this process of analyzing the flop. I visualize the nuts, the second nuts, the third nuts, all the way down towards like mid value hands. And then at the same time, I'm quickly deciding what the obvious draws slash bluffs are. So I'm putting this in my working memory. Let's do a little GTO trainer. So I'd be visualizing the range. Here's my range. Here's his range. And then I go through this list or this flop and I analyze it. I say set of aces, set of nines, set of threes, ace nine, ace three. 9-3 is probably not in anyone's range. So those are the nuts. What are the obvious draws? There are no obvious draws here, but you could make backdoor straight slash flush draws. So like Jack 10 clubs, Jack 10 hearts, something like that. Maybe 2-4 clubs. So this is a pretty dry board. I've analyzed that. Is this and when I go and I've analyzed it and then I kind of go through a heuristic thing here now, even in my A game, which is this a uh, range bet board? And it looks like it is, so I'm gonna bet two, and the villain calls. So now I have to rearrange this board. Aces haven't changed. Now we have kings. Set of kings are second. Nines, threes, ace king, ace nine. What of those value range hands is in my opponent's range, which are in my range? And in this scenario, the king is very good for us because we have a lot of ace kings. We have a lot of kings that we would have even just bet the flop with. Then I start so analyzing flop top reaction, narrow the range, new top value. Okay, so aces, analyze the board like I did the flop, and I just did that. Determine bet sizing. So I have like a little heuristic. Am I going to go for high value? Am I going to go for low value? So if I had like ace five, I might small bet again. But if I had ace king, I would make a huge bet attacking maybe ace queen, ace jack. If I had king nine, I'd make a big bet attacking maybe any ace. Here, I have what would be possibly a bluff, very low value. Do I continue betting? Do I not? I already did this, so I know what the actual play is, but um, I didn't do it right on the first one. I actually went, I think, low value. Okay, but see, there's a huge bet there because of the nut advantage. The sevens are turned into a bluff. But when I re-range, I see what hands the opponent could possibly have. Probably would have raised me with set of nines, set of threes, so he's pretty capped. And we didn't make it to the river. My A game still includes like a re-range after the turn, see what he could possibly have. Maybe I take a live read. My river play is not the greatest right now, so I don't have a system exactly. I'm trying to work on that. Um, but I still think in terms of what value do I have? How big do I bet? What bluffs can I find here? Will he fold to a bluff? I think I'm okay at bluffing the river. I bluff it at probably a reasonable percentage right now, but I don't think I picked the right spot because sometimes I just bluff into the nuts, which I guess happens, but maybe I could avoid that based off of whatever line they're taking. Either way, this A game player that I am when I'm an A game in my A game is a winning player. Now let's go to the C game player. So this is where I start to lose money. Normally it's because I'm bored, car dead, tired, hungry. I don't really get mistake tilt or injustice tilt as much anymore, but I certainly get motivation tilt or sometimes confidence tilt. But I'm bored. I don't turn on my brain enough to visualize the pre-flop charts, but I do know what to raise and what to fold pre-flop so well that I'm not even thinking, so I can get to the flop pretty easily with the correct cards. But on the flop, I have like a couple basic heuristics, like a range bet, how big my sizing is, and I tend towards using those heuristics, which maybe they work for the flop, but once I get action and we're on the turn, I haven't thought about his pre-flop range. I haven't thought about his flop range. What happens is I get to the turn and I kind of default that they've got something that they're just going to call down with. And I think I look at the board and I see, oh, maybe top pair, maybe even middle pair, but population read, there might be quite a few calling stations. And I value bet my hands, but I don't bluff as much because I'm not seeing the range that they might be on and where a big bluff might get a weak top pair to fold. And then I kind of like dull down my bet sizing. So I go like 66% and never do use 125% bet. And that gets no one to fold. That sometimes you need that 125% bet to polarize and get second pair or weak top pair to fold if I accidentally bluff. Or if I'm bluffing without thinking about it and I use a 66% bet and they call, what am I going to do on the river? I kind of give up. So now I'm at the river. I'm reading the board, looking at nuts, maybe some bluffs. Haven't really put them on a range. Don't know what possible hands they could have. I think in terms of they probably have something they'll call down with. So I play passively, I check fold to aggression. I might bluff if I have a live read. Sometimes I'd use that right into. I think I have a live read and I bluff right into the nuts. So this thought process is not. It's not going to make me any money. I can't narrow anything down, and that's my C game. So what's the difference? Keeping the pre-flop ranges in my head, narrowing the ranges in my head, in my mind's eye, seeing that chart, using the big bets and the small bets and I guess we call it dynamic bet sizing. That really goes well when I'm playing my A game. I kind of get a dull, blunted, passive play. I become a passive player when I am playing my C game. So for my sake, my goal is to just own my C game and figure out how to change it and move it towards my A game, as well as know when I'm playing my C game. So if I'm not ranging the player accurate, clearly I'm not playing my A game, and then I can know maybe time to get up, eat, move around, quit the session. But that's a losing player, and I don't want to be sitting at the table when I'm a losing player. So that is my analysis for A to C game. Tell me what you think. I'm putting this on the books because maybe in the future when my A game is way better, my C game is way better, I can look back on this and be like, ah, wow, I didn't really do it. My C game was bad, you know. Um, the goal is to get way, way, way better, move up in stakes, and I gotta improve that C game before I do that. All right, take care.